Think a worn-out penny in your pocket is worthless? Think again. Some old wheat pennies in bad condition have sold for thousands, and a few rare state mint versions are rumored to be worth millions to collectors. In this video, we're revealing the most valuable wheat pennies ever found. Even the scratched, dirty, and heavily circulated ones people almost threw away. Check your coin jar carefully, because one tiny penny could change your life. First up, the 1924 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, especially in bad or heavily circulated condition, is a classic early 20th century United States coin that carries both historical interest and modest collectible value, even when worn. This coin belongs to the famous Lincoln Wheat Cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of President Abraham Lincoln's birth. The 1924 issue was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which did not place mint marks on coins at that time, so the absence of a mint mark is normal and expected, rather than a rare error. On the obverse side, the coin displays a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln, designed by sculptor Victor David Brenner, along with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1924 to the right. On the reverse, it features two wheat stalks, framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the Latin motto E Pluribus Unum at the top, symbolizing unity. The coin is composed primarily of 95% copper, with 5% tin and zinc, weighs approximately 3.11 grams, and measures 19 millimeters in diameter, which was standard for Lincoln cents of that era. In 1924, the Philadelphia Mint produced more than 75 million of these pennies, making the no mint mark version relatively common compared to lower mintage varieties, like the 1924D from Denver. Because of this high mintage and the long period of circulation, many surviving examples today are found in worn or poor condition. A 1924 wheat penny in bad condition typically shows heavy wear on Lincoln's portrait, with facial features smoothed down, the date sometimes faint but still visible, and the wheat ears on the reverse, worn almost flat. The coin may also show discoloration, corrosion, scratches, rim damage, or environmental wear from decades spent in circulation, buried in the ground, or stored improperly. Despite this wear, collectors still value such coins for their age and historical significance, as they are now over a century old and represent everyday American commerce in the 1920s, a period known for economic growth, cultural change, and increased use of coinage in daily life. In terms of value, a 1924 wheat penny without a mint mark, in bad condition, is generally considered a common collectible with low monetary worth. In poor or heavily worn condition, the coin might be worth only a few cents to perhaps 25 or 50 cents depending on how clear the date and major design elements are. Coins with slightly better detail might reach around $1, but most heavily worn examples remain inexpensive. However, collectors still keep them to complete date sets of Lincoln Wheat Cents, which run from 1909 to 1958. The coin's value can increase if it has unusual mint errors, such as a doubled die, off-center strike, lamination error, or other minting defect, though such errors are rare and not typical. Even in bad condition, the coin has educational value and historical charm, showing how coins circulated widely for decades and accumulated wear through everyday transactions. During the 1920s, pennies like this were commonly used to buy small goods such as candy, newspapers, or streetcar fares, and they passed through countless hands. Over time, as newer coin designs replaced older ones and inflation reduced the purchasing power of a cent, many wheat pennies were withdrawn from circulation or saved by collectors. Today, finding a 1924 wheat penny in poor condition is common, but it still holds interest as a tangible piece of early American coinage history. Collectors often grade coins on a scale from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70, and a badly worn 1924 penny would typically fall into the poor, fair, or good range. In these grades, major features are visible but heavily worn, and fine details are mostly gone. While such a coin is not rare or highly valuable, it remains a collectible artifact, especially for beginners building a wheat cent collection or for people who enjoy owning coins over 100 years old. Proper storage in a coin holder or album can help preserve what remains of the coin and prevent further damage, and cleaning is generally discouraged because it can reduce collector value. Even a worn 1924 wheat penny without a mint mark carries historical significance as part of the first long-running U.S. coin series to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic design. Its simple wheat ear reverse became an iconic image in American coinage, and the coin's long circulation reflects decades of everyday use. Although the monetary value of a heavily worn example is modest, its age, design, and connection to American history give it lasting appeal among collectors and enthusiasts. For many people, owning a 1924 wheat penny in any condition offers a small but meaningful connection to the past, representing a coin that once moved through shops, markets, and pockets nearly a century ago, and now survives as a collectible reminder of early 20th century life and craftsmanship at the United States Mint. The 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny with an S mint mark, especially in bad or heavily circulated condition, is a significant coin in the Lincoln Cent series, representing a piece of post-World War II American history. Struck at the San Francisco Mint, the S mint mark is located just below the date on the obverse side, distinguishing it from coins produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which had no mint mark, and the Denver Mint, which carries a D. The 1946 wheat penny continues the tradition of the Lincoln Cent series, which began in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse of the coin features the familiar right-facing portrait of President Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, surrounded by the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1946 to the right, with a small S mint mark beneath it. The reverse side carries the iconic wheat ears design, which frames the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, and the motto E Pluribus Unum at the top. The coin was composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, which gives it a weight of about 3.11 grams and a diameter of 19 millimeters, standard for Lincoln cents of this period. The San Francisco Mint produced approximately 68 million pennies in 1946, making it a moderately common coin, although not as widely circulated as Philadelphia issues. In bad condition, the 1946 S wheat penny shows heavy signs of wear and circulation, often with Lincoln's facial features and hair worn smooth, the date partially faded but generally readable, and the wheat ears on the reverse worn flat. The coin may also display discoloration, scratches, rim nicks, and environmental damage such as corrosion or verdigris, especially if it has been stored improperly or exposed to moisture. Despite its poor condition, the coin is of interest to collectors because it is part of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which is historically significant as the first long-running U.S. coin to feature a real person rather than an allegorical figure like Liberty. These pennies circulated widely in the post-war period, appearing in everyday commerce such as candy, newspapers, and streetcar fares, reflecting both the economy and culture of the United States in 1946. From a value perspective, a 1946 S wheat penny in bad condition is generally not highly valuable in the broader market. Most heavily worn examples, in grades ranging from poor P1 to good G4, are valued modestly, often between 10 to 50 cents, depending on the legibility of the date and presence of the S mint mark. Coins with slight additional eye appeal or minimal damage might fetch $1 or slightly more from collectors completing date and mint mark sets. Coins. Certain rare errors or varieties can dramatically increase value, even in low-grade condition. For example, coins with doubled dies, off-center strikes, or planchet flaws may attract collector interest far beyond typical market value, though such errors are uncommon in 1946 S pennies. The historical significance of the coin also contributes to its desirability. It reflects a post-war America where coinage was essential to everyday transactions and where the Lincoln Wheat Cent continued to dominate small-denomination currency. Collectors often seek these coins for completion of Lincoln Cent sets, particularly those assembling full-date and mint-mark collections from 1909 to 1958. In terms of grading, a heavily worn 1946 S penny would likely fall into the poor to good range, with major design details flattened, but the date and mint mark still identifiable. Coins with better detail may be valued more highly, but even worn coins serve as important historical artifacts, showcasing the longevity of the Lincoln cent design and the craftsmanship of the San Francisco Mint during the mid-20th century. Proper storage, such as in a coin holder or album, is recommended to prevent further deterioration, while cleaning is discouraged because it can reduce collectible value. While a 1946 wheat penny in bad condition is unlikely to fetch a high monetary price on its own, its age, historical context, and role in the Lincoln cent series make it a valuable piece of American numismatic history. Collectors, historians, and enthusiasts appreciate even heavily worn examples for their connection to the everyday life of post-war America, as these pennies passed through countless hands, participated in countless transactions, and endured the passage of time to survive over 75 years later. In conclusion, the 1946 Lincoln Wheat Penny, in bad condition, remains a tangible link to American history, an example of enduring coin design, and a modestly valuable collectible that continues to draw interest from those seeking to understand, preserve, and appreciate early to mid-20th century U.S. coinage, representing not only a monetary instrument, but also a historical artifact and cultural icon that has survived decades of circulation, economic changes, and social transformations in the United States. The 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny with an S mint mark, even in bad or heavily circulated condition, is an important and collectible coin in the long-running Lincoln cent series, which spans from 1909 to 1958. This particular penny was struck at the San Francisco Mint, which is indicated by the small S mint mark located just below the date on the obverse side, distinguishing it from Philadelphia Mint coins, which have no mint mark, and Denver Mint coins, which bear a D. The 1950 wheat penny continues the tradition of the Lincoln cent, which was first issued in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. On the obverse, it features the familiar right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner, surrounded by the inscriptions "In God We Trust" at the top, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1950 to the right with the small S mint mark directly below. The reverse side showcases the iconic wheat ears design, which frames the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America, with the national motto E pluribus unum above. This design symbolizes prosperity and the agricultural heritage of the United States, and it remained unchanged throughout the Lincoln Wheat Cent series. The coin is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a weight of approximately 3.11 grams and a diameter of 19 millimeters. In 1950, the San Francisco Mint produced over 40 million pennies, making this coin moderately common, though less so than Philadelphia issues, which numbered in the hundreds of millions. In bad condition, a 1950 wheat penny often shows significant wear from circulation. Lincoln's facial features and hair may be almost completely worn away. The date and S mint mark might be faint, but still identifiable, and the wheat ears on the reverse may be flattened and barely visible. Many coins in poor condition also exhibit scratches, discoloration, corrosion spots, or environmental damage from decades of use, improper storage, or exposure to moisture and air. Despite heavy wear, the coin retains historical and collectible significance as part of the Lincoln Wheat Cent series, which is the first U.S. coin series to feature a real historical figure rather than a symbolic design like Liberty. These pennies were used extensively in everyday post-war transactions, including purchases of groceries, newspapers, candy, transportation fares, and other small goods, reflecting the everyday economic activity of mid-20th century America. From a value standpoint, a 1950 wheat penny in bad condition is generally modestly priced. Most heavily worn examples, graded poor P1 to good G4, typically range in value from a few cents to about 25 to 50 cents, depending largely on the legibility of the date and the S mint mark. Coins with slightly better remaining detail may reach around $1 from collectors completing date and mint mark sets. As with many coins, however, certain minting errors or unusual varieties can drastically increase value even in poor condition. Examples include off-center strikes, doubled dies, or planchet flaws, though such errors are uncommon in 1950s pennies. Historically, this coin provides a window into the everyday life of post-war America, showing how Lincoln cents continued to circulate widely in commerce and remained a staple of small-denomination currency. Collectors often seek 1950s pennies to complete Lincoln cent collections that include every date and mint mark from 1909 to 1958. And even coins in bad condition serve as important pieces for educational and historical purposes. Grading heavily worn coins places them in the lower tiers of the scale, with flattened design elements, smoothed surfaces, and partially worn inscriptions. But the coin remains identifiable and collectible. Proper storage, such as in a coin holder or album, can help prevent further deterioration, and cleaning is discouraged because it may reduce collector value and historical authenticity. While a 1950s wheat penny in bad condition is not rare, it continues to hold value for its age, its design, and its connection to a pivotal era in U.S. history. Over 70 years after its minting, these pennies offer collectors a tangible link to the past, demonstrating both the longevity of the Lincoln cent design and the craftsmanship of the United States Mint during the mid-20th century. They are reminders of the everyday economic life of Americans, the post-war period of prosperity, and the enduring cultural significance of Abraham Lincoln as a symbol of unity and leadership. Even heavily worn examples, with their scratches, discoloration, and flattened details, are appreciated by collectors for their historical context, connection to the broader Lincoln Wheat Cent series, and role in everyday commerce in the 1950s. Ultimately, a 1950s Lincoln Wheat Penny in bad condition represents more than just a small piece of copper. It is a historical artifact, a collectible treasure for enthusiasts building date and mint mark sets, and a tangible connection to the United States' economic, cultural, and numismatic history, showing how a simple penny could pass through countless hands, survive decades of wear, and still carry the legacy of one of America's most beloved presidents and one of its longest-running and most iconic coin designs. The 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny without a mint mark, even in bad or heavily circulated condition, is a significant and historically interesting coin from the Lincoln Cent series, which ran from 1909 to 1958. This coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the nation's first and oldest mint, which did not use mint marks at the time. So the absence of a mint mark is standard and expected. As part of the Wheat Penny series, the 1941 cent continues the tradition of honoring President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, a design created by Victor David Brenner and introduced in 1909 to commemorate the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The obverse side of the coin features a right-facing portrait of Lincoln, with the inscriptions, "In God We Trust" above, "Liberty" to the left, and the date 1941 to the right. The reverse side displays the iconic wheat ears design, framing the inscriptions, 1 cent, and United States of America, with E Pluribus Unum at the top, reflecting both the agricultural heritage of the United States and the unity of the nation. The coin is composed of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, giving it a weight of approximately 3.11 grams and a diameter of 19 millimeters, consistent with other Lincoln Wheat Pennies of this era. The Philadelphia Mint produced a substantial number of these pennies in 1941, over 200 million, making this coin one of the more common issues in the series. However, its age and historical context give it lasting interest to collectors. In bad condition, a 1941 penny typically exhibits heavy wear, with Lincoln's facial features and hair nearly flattened, the date still visible, but possibly faint, and the wheat ears on the reverse worn down to a smooth surface. Other signs of circulation, such as scratches, discoloration, rim nicks, corrosion spots, and environmental damage are common, as these coins pass through countless hands over decades of use. Despite its poor condition, the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny is valued for its historical significance as part of the first U.S. coin series to feature a real historical figure, rather than a symbolic representation such as Lady Liberty. These pennies were used extensively in daily commerce in the early 1940s, a period marked by the United States' entry into World War II and significant economic and social changes. In 1941, pennies like this one facilitated everyday purchases including newspapers, candy, postage, groceries, and small public transportation fares, reflecting the life and economy of Americans during that era. From a collector's standpoint, a 1941 penny without a mint mark in bad condition is generally low in market value. Most heavily circulated examples, typically graded poor P1 to good G4, sell for a few cents to perhaps 25 or 50 cents, depending on the legibility of the date and the overall condition of the coin. Coins with slightly better detail may command slightly higher prices from collectors seeking to complete a full date set of Lincoln Wheat Pennies from 1909 to 1958. Although the coin is common, certain minting errors or unusual varieties could enhance value even in poor condition. These might include off-center strikes, double dies, or other production anomalies, though such occurrences are relatively rare for the 1941 Philadelphia issue. The historical significance of this coin extends beyond its monetary value. It represents a tangible connection to early 1940s America, the Lincoln Cent's enduring design, and the craftsmanship of the Philadelphia Mint during a period of intense production for domestic circulation. Collectors often value these coins as part of completing a comprehensive Lincoln Wheat Cent collection, or as educational artifacts that demonstrate the evolution of U.S. coinage. Proper storage is important to preserve the remaining detail and prevent further deterioration, while cleaning is discouraged because it can diminish collector value. The 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny, even in bad condition, remains a symbol of American history, reflecting both the everyday use of coins in commerce and the legacy of Abraham Lincoln as a unifying figure. It provides insight into mid-20th century currency, circulating widely at a time of global conflict and domestic change, showing how small denominations of money supported the daily life of citizens and shaped the economy. Over 80 years later, these pennies offer collectors and historians a direct link to the past, preserving the story of American coinage, design, and economic activity. Even heavily worn and damaged examples continue to have value as historical artifacts, reminders of the U.S. Mint's craftsmanship, and pieces of the long-running Lincoln Cent narrative. While a 1941 Philadelphia wheat penny in poor condition may not be rare or highly valuable monetarily, it remains a collectible and educational item, appreciated for its age, design, and connection to an important era of American history, making it a meaningful piece in coin collections and a tangible link to the everyday lives of Americans who used these coins over 80 years ago. From small purchases to larger economic exchanges, preserving a story that bridges past and present, while showcasing the durability and popularity of the Lincoln Wheat Penny series across decades of U.S. circulation.